Welcome to Design TV. I'm Pamela Jaccarino, Editor-in-Chief of Luxe Interiors and Design. Today, I'm speaking with Uber design talent, the one and only Thom Filicia, who does sophisticated American design that's down to earth, approachable, and exceptional. His unbridled enthusiasm is just what we need these days. And Thom, it's so good to see you. How are you?
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here, and it's great to see you as well. Thank you for that lovely introduction, by the way. Do I owe
Yeah,
you money?
no, you don't. Well, I'll send you a bill later, but that's okay. We'll like, it's okay. We'll get the accountants to work that out. I see that you're back in your lake house because I see your beautiful stone
Yes,
fireplace.
yes. I'm actually, yeah, I'm at the lake house. I'm looking at whitecaps on the lake right now. The flag on the back of my boat, it looks like it's about to blow off. So yeah, I think it's a good day for sailing.
Okay. That sounds good. I've seen many of your background as we're all watching your fantastic Insta lives that you do.
Well,
And
thank you.
I know I will just have to say, like, I am so fascinated by I went down like a total Thom Filicia rabbit hole watching how, like, when Laura shows you like, hi, here's a room, and Thom, what would you do? What's that called? What's that show called that you do?
Oh, we're doing, that's called, that one, I do house calls, and then I
House
also do, the other one is called, oh my God.
Thom will figure it out for you.
Design Chances, Design Chances.
Design chip, it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. I feel
Yeah.
like I need to, I might like send in a room. Anyway,
Well, you know what's so interesting is that what I love about Design Chances, the whole idea was that it was about people taking a risk and taking a chance. And so there's all of these people that were kind of writing into us while we were doing house calls saying, you know, I have a bathroom and I want to paint the tile, or, you know, they had these sort of questions, or I'm putting window treatments up. Should it be this exact same height as the window frame, or should they go up to the crown, or should they be in the middle? So it was all of these kinds of things. And I thought, you know, everyone's wanting to take a sort of a design chance or a risk, or they want to do something interesting, but they don't have very often the confidence to make that decision because there's one or two things holding them back. And I thought, let's do something where people can just reach out and say, like, what do I do? Like SOS.
yeah,
And also what's really fun about it is I give them answers like off the cuff,
yeah,
and solutions off the cuff. So I think it's really like, you know, it's like a great exercise as a designer to
I
really
love it.
like to be, you know,
It
sort
is.
of off the
I
cuff.
just want to say, I'm putting a plug in. You need to Netflix this. Seriously, I just love that it's just off the cuff. You're like, you looking at it, you're like, do this, 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 and this. And I'm like, of course, that is what they should be doing. It's
Yeah,
really good. I'm
it's
just
fun.
saying,
Thank you. I like the I have to say, and one of the things that you said in your introduction is I actually like the energy of it, because I think that it also encourages people who are reading magazines and looking at beautiful images and thinking about, you know, furniture and design and wall coverings and all of the things that you and I love. And I think what it does is it reinforces the idea of having fun with it and understanding that, you know, it really is sort of intuitive at a certain level. And
yeah.
although a lot of people don't do it every day, you know, it should be an interesting, fun process, whether you hire a designer or you're doing it on your own.
Yeah, and I just love, like, some of it was like, there was one room where I can't, the outside was so amazing. We're gonna do this whole show just about your show, of course. But there was one where I was like, oh my gosh, the editing, and you're like, take this out, this out. I'm like, oh my God, this, like, I'm just saying, call Netflix or whoever, HGTV, and book it because it's really good. Anyway,
Well, thank you.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I
Appreciate that.
really like am watching it as a regular
Thank you.
viewer.
That's awesome. I appreciate
So
it.
I want to start off because this is a Design TV masterclass, and I want
Yeah.
to sort of go back to like your early days, and you know, you graduate from Syracuse University and go to work for the prestigious firm of Parrish Hadley. It's
Yes.
super old guard. I mean, they do the most amazing work, but it's very sort of like elite upper crust. And you were sort of one of the early designers in New York down in Soho who sort of decided, like, let's democratize design a little bit. It was like Aero Studios had opened
Right.
the door.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that, because until that time, it really wasn't democratized. So
Right.
talk about why that was important to you and sort of like what was happening at that moment.
Well, I think that first of all, I loved my experience. I was an intern at Parrish Hadley, then they hired me out of school, working with Albert, working with David and Libby and that whole crew, and working in the architecture office and the design office, and all of that was really a great sort of. I looked at it as like a great finishing school, and a great opportunity to really understand. I always say, like, if you want to know how to break the rules, you have to know the rules before you can break them. So it was after college, totally theoretical, graduating with a degree in interior design, but not really having any boots on the ground. I thought that's where I really wanted to start. And what I loved about it was there was this sort of yin and yang of sort of modernist Albert Hadley and very academic. And then there was very sort of, interior decorator, Sister Parrish, and that sort of, more that other approach. So I really liked that. I also felt that having that sort of traditional understanding was really important, and it was something I was really excited about. But what I realized as I was going through that moment in sort of as a young designer was that I was really excited about design and I loved it, but I was really excited about the idea of design being more of something that was more of a dialogue. It's like we've seen this happen where, chefs who have amazing restaurants now have, an outpost at every, at JFK or in Atlanta, at LAX or, and it's really exciting to me to have something that is, a kind of like a way to get a lot of people excited about having this dialogue and thinking about design, and then also having things that are for people that really want to go into that sort of bespoke world of creating an environment that's very specific to who they are and the way they live and their house and all of that. So I just felt like that's where the world was going, and that's where I was going. I felt like there was this really interesting moment where design was not just part of the conversation with designers and people that hire designers. It was starting to sort of, make its way into, box stores, and people were, you would see a famous designer at like a major box store, and you were like, this is really exciting because it's a wonderful it's a new space for designers, but it's also a great opportunity for everyone to understand, that anyone that's interested in design, anyone that understands the importance of how design can change a restaurant, a hotel, your home, your lifestyle. I think it just started to open up, and it was really exciting. So I felt like I was on that springboard of that, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, and now it's come, I think it's great, and it's come full force. I mean, now everybody's got access to, so much, and it's the best industry. It's so much fun. It's creative and interesting, and it's a lot of hard work and all of that. Right, I know. I mean, I'm just doing my own, seriously, I'm trying to do my own place myself, and I am like, wow, it's just like, you need a designer, folks. Let me tell you something. It is so much work, the research, the measuring, everything. How to put it all together. Anyway, so Thom, you just celebrated last year, was it last year? 20 years of your firm. Congratulations. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Tell us about sort of the aha moment that led you to open your practice. And then, like, I always like, how did you get your first gig? I mean, I knew you were coming from a very prestigious firm.
At that time I had been working with, now I had moved to Jeffrey Bill Huber. I was there for about 4.5 years. And Jeffrey and I still great friends, and I worked with him for a while. And I was just, I was offered an opportunity to work with a client in both the Hamptons and also in New York City. And he was a young sort of like finance guy who was, kind of getting this, this kind of duplex in the West Village and a really great house in East Hampton. And it was just that moment where he was like, hey, I really would love you to help me with both of these projects. And I was really excited about it. I was very nervous about going off on my own, but, I kind of, I felt like that was kind of that moment for
Yeah.
me. And I don't know, it was a scary, bizarre moment. And I'm really happy that I did it. But
I know. I always feel like that's like you. I love entrepreneurs. I'm like fascinated by business people who are just like, I'm just gonna just like go for it because it is
yeah,
scary and a lot of work. Did it take you like how long did it take you from like that moment of you have this client, you've got these two projects,
right.
you know, like you get into a groove? I would imagine pretty quickly. You're like,
I
next
hired an
project.
assistant. I hired an assistant very quickly, and he came in and worked with me every day. And I really didn't want to work alone, and I really wanted to have someone sort of work with me in billing and all of that. So I started that very quickly, and then I would say within about 3 months, I opened an office in Soho, and at that point we had about 4 or 5 or 6 projects, and I think I had about 6 people, like 3
Boom.
designers and
Yeah.
an assistant, and I had a girl that was working with me that was kind of running the office. And so it was a really exciting, scary, fun, wacky
Yeah.
uh, moment. And I have to say, one of the interesting things is that, having really worked from like from a true like getting coffee assistant, to a junior designer, to a designer, to a senior designer in other firms, being at the D&D building almost every other day, and shopping antique dealers and uptown, downtown, and traveling for work for clients and for the companies I work for. It was just, it was really exciting to have that foundation. And what I realized that was very different for me, and this is going back to your earlier question, and the reason I went off on my own was that I really loved the work that we were doing when I was working with Jeffrey Bill Huber. But I really knew that what I wanted to do was something that felt a little bit more, I don't know. I mean, I guess, I always call it the democracy of design, which I don't even think is grammatically correct. But what I liked about that idea was I really loved the idea of having, having multi-layers of things that I was doing, whether it was a small office, a great big house, designing product. I really liked the diversity of where design was going. And I was seeing that, there were more and more PR firms opening up, and there was just all of a sudden, there were these shows on TV that were like ridiculous, that were, they had like 9 cents and their neighbor left and they had to go. It was all this wacky stuff, but it was exciting. It really made what I felt that I was doing, it felt like it was kind of really becoming a profession. And it was really like everybody was like, when you'd say you were an interior designer, people were like, oh my God, I love what you do. I watch this show, or I read this magazine, or they were tapped in somehow.
Yeah.
And I always felt that it was really interesting to be able to communicate not only with people in the business and have like a real serious, knowledgeable conversation, but it was also really enjoyable to talk to people that were just excited about the idea and wanted more information and didn't really know about it.
Yeah.
So I never felt I always enjoyed both of those conversations.
I feel like you enjoy everything. I do. Right. You are famous for when we go to High Point and everybody's complaining that their feet hurt. Thom Filicia is the man that's there saying, stop complaining, be grateful that you're here. And we're like, you're right, Thom. I mean, so Thom, you are just a major tour de force in design and a sage businessman, right? TV shows, you got a To the Trade showroom in New York, Cedric and Prattle at the New York Design Center. Your own Thom Filicia home collection, licensing collections, we're going to get into that in a little bit, and a thriving design practice. And I really feel like, Thom, you make it look effortless, which I know that it is not effortless to do what you do. But what's sort of your secret sauce? Like, how do you keep it all going? I mean, what is it? Is it just, I feel like it's just part of who you are and you just love it. But talk a little bit about how, like, it's a lot of plates in the air
I,
that you've got to juggle.
I,
Yeah.
I would first and foremost, I mean, I think it's a couple different sort of, there's a couple different sort of things that go into that recipe, but I would say first and foremost, if you're truly passionate about what you do, there's very few opportunities to participate with it that would not be inspiring or interesting, or that you feel like you could sort of get involved in and be excited about. So that's the first thing, really being passionate, being present, and being involved. I think those are the most important things, I think, whenever anyone comes and works with us at my company, or that I feel that's what inspires me the most. I also think that really connecting with people and understanding, what makes them tick, who they are, whether it's a client or it's, people that are buyers or other designers at High Point, or, whether it's a hotel brand that we're working with, really connecting with them and understanding sort of what they're about. I think having that passion, and just sort of, I don't know, it's just, I think I think that being passionate about what you do, it becomes infectious.
Yeah.
And I think
You probably,
having
you have
fun
to
with
take your, you probably have to take your Wheaties too, because you have a lot of energy. Like, I mean, I think to myself,
I,
like, it's like, do you work, I will just say, like, I feel like I might know the answer. Like, I don't know, I don't perceive you as being like a workaholic, because I think you're also like a work hard, play hard kind of
yeah,
guy,
for sure. Yeah.
you know?
I
Like,
can turn
you
it
turn
off.
it off.
I
That's
can
it.
turn it off very quickly, but I also turn it on very quickly, and I can go to work and I can sort of power through it and have fun doing it, be really excited about it. And then I can be like, okay, we did that. Now let's enjoy this moment and
That's
have
great.
fun.
I
So
think that's the key too, to like being able to bring it back the next day, is to be able to go,
yeah,
okay, put it on the shelf for a minute, let me go here, and then bring
yeah.
it back again.
Well, it's interesting. I use this, I always talk about balance in design. It's always about finding things that are very rare and special, and then taking things that are sort of everyday and simple and easy and humble, and bringing them together, or very sort of like polished and have a sheen to something that's very muted and kind of matte, and bringing it together. And it always kind of finds this great sort of balance. And I think that being sort of well balanced, driving a well balanced car, and being sort of well balanced in terms of like having fun, but also being very, ambitious and enjoying that process. I just think that balance, whether you're talking about design or just life,
Like,
I think is really, it's really, to me, that's what keeps it possible to do so much. Because I think first of all, I love having the diversity of things that we're doing, like you were talking about, the home collection and the showroom and the design office and products. And I really like that every day I'm talking to people in my office about, we're designing a new sofa, or we're working on a lake house or a beach house or a ski house or a city apartment, or it just, I love that diversity.
yeah.
And I think because I do have a lot of energy, and I think I was definitely a very hyperactive kid, and I'm a bit ADD. I think that really
It helps.
works for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that that's sort of where I get a lot. Most of my inspiration comes from people and communicating with them, hearing what people are doing, what makes them, like just
Yeah.
what makes them smile, what makes them feel good, what makes them, what makes them sort of, gets them thinking, really.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to do things that just kind of like get people to sort of start a conversation that's like a little wacky, and I love doing that with design.
So
Making
that's
people say like,
interesting.
what made you think to do that? And like, it's just, I thought it would be, it's a little unexpected and fun.
So it's interesting because, I mean, obviously when designers like yourself are designing for a client, you have a client and you're there, it's a service business, if you will. But
Yeah.
you have had so many, wild success with your licensing collections, particularly your furniture collection with Vanguard, which is
Yeah.
in its 11th year now. And so,
Yeah.
and that to me, I've seen it, I love it. It's very Thom Filicia. And I want you to talk about a couple things, like how do you approach your furniture design and how much, when I think about your work, it's very sort of, very what I would call is like this all American feel good. It's inviting, it's interesting, but it's humble and comfortable. You sort of want to live in that Thom Filicia world when you see your interior or you walk into like, the space at Vanguard. You see it, you want to live with it. How do you approach your furniture design? Is there something that's inspired you? Is it sort of like growing up in Syracuse? Like, where do you start
Yeah.
when you're going to go in, aside from the practical
Yeah.
thing?
I will say, let me start by saying this. First, going back to sort of having success with a variety of different things from television to design and all of that. First of all, having a great team to work with is super, super important. And I'm really lucky. As you know, Laura, who's been working with us to set this up, is amazing. And Rosalie and Smith and Brenna, there's so many, French, there's a whole team of people from architects, that we all work together.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's really important. And some days are amazing and some days are super stressful, but that's really fundamental. Vanguard is part of our sort of family, and they are a family. So I was really lucky that I found a partner that is a family business, and that when I'm with my Vanguard family and my TFI family, they all know each other. It's really like, that's like sort of a fundamental building block for success, I think.
Yeah.
And so I've been really lucky that they have, watched me kind of grow in that space of designing furniture and lifestyle. I remember my first market with Vanguard, and I designed a bed, and all of a sudden the bed's still in our line. It's the Marshall Street bed, named after the street where all the bars were in my college. And I just thought it was hilarious because I was like, Marshall Street, everyone was trying to get laid, and I figured first bed, that'd be hilarious. So this 4-poster bed, it's in the showroom. I'm like, everything, hanging artwork, whatever I'm doing. And I said, where are the mattresses? And they go, we don't have, you have to order it. And I was like, I thought we had them. I had nothing. I didn't have bedding and I didn't have mattress, and I had a bed.
What did you do?
Introduced me to bed. And I was told I'll never sell a 4-poster bed. Anyways, it was 2008, or 9. So it was like the worst year to introduce furniture collection. But I didn't know what to do. And I had this bed with nothing. It was just an empty bed, 4-poster bed, modern kind of 4-poster bed. And, kind of a classic, but yet clean and simple. But so I didn't know what to do. So I literally went out to a home store and bought all of these, sort of grasses and flowers, and I put them all inside of the bed, and I called it my flower bed. And I must have taken 6,000 photographs in front of this bed with all these flowers, and it was hilarious. But it was just like, I was like, okay, I've got to do something outside of the box that will get people to remember what we're doing, and that's creative and fun, and also costs $1. So that's what I did. So Vanguard allowed me to do that, and stood by me when I was, I was coming into the furniture world, understanding designing custom furniture for people in their homes in the Hamptons, in New York City, and in Connecticut. And so I think that, really understanding product and how to show it and how to sort of communicate in that space was something that I had to learn quickly. And I really had to really understand it. And I super applied myself, was very interested. I was there every day with absorbing, talking, connecting, and was a part of every detail, every conversation, every line on a drawing, every measurement. And some worked, some didn't, but I understood the successes and the failures. And Vanguard, I think, was really excited about, my level of involvement, participation, I think enthusiasm,
Of
excitement.
course, you're not just putting a name on it. You're
Yeah,
really in it, and
right.
you're designing it. You're promoting it. It's
Yeah,
something that you bring your passion
yeah.
to it, which I
And
think I think that shows. I really believe, like as a design editor, you see a lot of furniture, and it does. It's almost like that your karma is baked into it. I know that sounds like very woo woo, which I am not a woo woo girl,
no, yeah,
but I really believe that
yeah.
it's made well, and it
I
has your
agree with you.
DNA in it.
I think what was really cool about Vanguard is, first of all, they're making great product. They were really excited about, new finishes. They were excited about new ideas, using things that they have used for a long time in a new way. And
Yeah,
they were just, enthusiastic. It's a great company, great quality, great price point. And they're great people. So it was kind of the perfect space for me. And I think they liked that when I would approach, whether it was Kravet or Vanguard or Wendover or, Eastern Accents, whoever it was, I always said to them, I really want to be thoughtful about quality. I want to be thoughtful, certainly, about the design. But I also really want to make sure that we're being thoughtful about what our backcloth is, or what our, what the interiors of our furniture is. Is it certified? Is it eco-friendly? But also, are we making the smart business choices in terms of price point? Because
yeah,
if I can make something a standard size and it has to be 2 inches bigger, in length, the sofa, and then we can use a standard size, I want to know that, because if that means that the price of the sofa will come down, and I want to make my product, the concept was to make it sort of, sort of exceptional design, but, and very thoughtful. That was our goal. I don't know if we've always hit that, but also approachable for designers and for buyers and for people out there that want to be able to bring that into their showroom or sell that to their client, and still be able to mark it up and
yeah.
still have that room to really run a business, And so for me, Vanguard not only really helped me understand the manufacturing of furniture and working with them on the design and all of those elements, but also really understanding how how the business of furniture
Of course.
and product works. And so they've been amazing, but they're that way with our office. We have, it's a constant dialogue. We're
That's
always
great.
working together. They're amazing.
I
And
love
we've been together 10 years. I couldn't even believe that we were, 10 years. Sedgwick and Brattle was 5 years last year. TFI, my design company, was 20 years. So I was like, okay, we're at that point now where we really understand what we're doing.
Right.
And now we're excited about taking a step, up, and sort of really kind of flexing our
Well,
muscles a
it'll
little
be
bit.
interesting to
Doing,
see what we will love to come to market and see what comes next. It's interesting because every time I think of you, Tom, it's like you're energized, you're extroverted, you have such a can-do, positive attitude. Like, to me, you're like always like a ray of sunshine. How are you? Like, it's so, and then like the world is just so crazy, and like I felt like, oh, this summer it'll get better. No. I'm in Florida. Apparently we're the new epicenter. My final question is, how have you managed to stay inspired? What can you share with the people that are watching us today to sort of keep a positive
yeah.
mindset?
I think a couple of things. One is I would say I'm a pretty consistent person. And so I definitely am I think I'm generally very positive and generally very optimistic, and like, we can do this, let's do it. And I say yes to almost everything, and I know Laura sometimes wants to kill me. But there are those days where I'm like, I'm panicking, and Rosalie will have me on the phone about something, and I'm worried about it. And she's got, I always, so I'm a real person, and I have those moments. But I would say what really keeps me sort of in that space is that, I feel like and I say this like even to people like you were saying at High Point, this is a real luxury. Like what we're talking about right now, what we're doing right now, so the fact that I'm able to pursue a career in something that is my passion and that I love, I just feel very fortunate to live and do sort of professionally what I love to do. And so for me, even though it's hard work and there are a lot of balls in the air, and some days you're, at an installation and it's, a lot of work and you're running around and you're nervous and you're getting your showroom set up, or you're going from one meeting to the next, or you're from airport to airport or whatever. And we'll see how this all goes in the future. But I will say is that I very often say like, hey, this is a luxury and I'm really lucky to be able to be a part of this and have like a real voice in sort of, be one of, the many voices, but to be a part of that conversation, that dialogue, I think is really exciting. And I feel like to be respected at some level by the industry and to be recognized is really awesome. To be appreciated by your clients and the different projects you're working on, but also I think, to have, just to be able to communicate to so many people through all of these mediums like we're doing right now, or through television, and having that as a sort of a really exciting and fun vehicle, So I feel like you kind of make your own sort of, I really do think you can kind of create your own sort of reality at a certain level. And if you're lucky enough to be a person that feels you can do that and maybe even make some of that happen, whether it's having children or getting married or buying a house or whatever it is, I just think you have to be really thankful and appreciative of all of the things we have and how lucky we are. So that's where a lot of my inspiration every day comes from, feeling really like lucky and I'm working really hard, and also I think making it fun. It's like, if you're not having fun with it, then move on.
Well, you do. We love you all. We love you so much, Thom, and you are just, it's like infectious, your whole vibe. And the industry is that much better because Thom Filicia is in the industry, and that is the truth. And I thank you so much.